Can you believe it? Arrogance, fraud, and a jaw-dropping downfall. Watch how one man's obscene wealth couldn't shield him from the iron grip of justice. The courtroom was alive, buzzing like a hive of restless bees, the air practically snapping with tension. People jammed into the benches, packed shoulder to shoulder. Can you imagine the anticipation? Their eyes darting nervously toward the defendant's table. Whispers slithered from one mouth to the next, each rumor juicier and more scandalous than the last. Then, oh my God, he walked in. Tall, broad-shouldered, strutting in a charcoal gray designer suit that probably cost more than most people's yearly rent. This guy carried himself with a confidence so bold it teetered right on the edge of arrogance. His slicked-back hair shone like polished glass under the harsh fluorescent lights. And get this, he smirked at the crowd, as if the whole room had shown up to worship him instead of judge him. Who does that? Ethan Grayson, yes, that Ethan Grayson, the name plastered across every headline for weeks, looked more like he was strolling into a VIP gala than facing a courtroom accusing him of swindling millions from desperate, struggling families. But hold on, it wasn't even his grand entrance that stole the show. No, it was what happened next that made everyone's heads spin. Judge Monica Lee swept into the courtroom, her black robe flowing like a shadow of authority. Did she need to yell or glare to own that room? Not a chance. She moved with this quiet, unshakable power. As she approached the bench, her presence alone was enough to hush the chaos. Everyone knew her reputation, a no-nonsense judge who lived and breathed justice above all else. Wow, what a force! All rise for the Honorable Judge Monica Lee. The bailiff boomed, and every single person shot to their feet, except, can you guess who? Ethan Grayson. The room went dead silent. Every eye swiveled to the defendant, who just sat there, cool as you please, flipping through a legal pad. Like this was some boring meeting he couldn't be bothered with. His lawyer leaned in, whispering something frantic, probably begging him to stand, but Ethan, he just waved him off with this lazy flick of his wrist, like swatting a fly. Judge Lee froze at her bench, her gaze slicing through the air like a laser. Her face gave away nothing, but oh, that silence, it grew heavier by the second, pressing down on everyone. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Can you feel the disbelief? Because seriously, who did this guy think he was? Ethan didn't even blink. His smug little smirk practically dared the judge to call him out. You may be seated, Judge Lee said, her voice steady as steel. Calm, but oh so firm. She didn't call out his disrespect, not yet, but the whole vibe in the room shifted. The tension wasn't just there anymore. It was suffocating, wrapping around everyone like a thick fog. And guess what? This was just the beginning. Ethan Grayson, Mr. High and Mighty, was about to get a brutal wake-up call. Even the richest, most entitled jerk on the planet isn't above the law. Oh, how the mighty were about to fall. Let's talk about Ethan Grayson for a second, because this wasn't just some rich guy. No way. He was the kind of filthy rich that made your jaw drop. Luxury yachts bobbing on both coasts, multi-million-dollar mansions with marble everything, private jets whisking him off to who knows where, and parties so lavish they'd put Hollywood A-listers to shame. His business empire, Grayson Investments, had once been hailed as the shining star of financial genius. Can you believe people actually bought that? But behind all that glitz and glamour hid a nasty, rotten truth. Ethan's climb to the top? Pure deception. He'd sweet-talked small business owners and hard-working middle-class families, promising them a golden ticket to secure their futures. Hundreds poured their life savings into his fraudulent schemes. Retirement accounts? Poof! College funds for their kids? Gone. Entire family inheritances? Vanished in a heartbeat, all thanks to him. The fallout, oh, it was heartbreaking. Families lost their homes, parents scrambled to put food on the table, and elderly couples stared down the barrel of poverty in their twilight years. Can you even imagine that kind of despair? The ripple effects of his greed stretched far and wide, tearing lives apart. But to Ethan, just another day at the office. It's just business, he probably thought, sipping champagne on his yacht. When the investigators finally caught up to him, thank goodness. The evidence was overwhelming. Stacks of bank records, forged documents, and gut-punching testimony from former employees who spilled every dirty detail. But even with the walls closing in, Ethan stayed cocky as ever. "I've got the best lawyers money can buy," he bragged to reporters outside his ridiculous Malibu mansion, flashing that million-dollar grin. "This will blow over. It always does. Can you believe the nerve?" And for a while, it kills me to say it, he might have been right. His fancy legal team filed motion after motion, dragging the trial out for months, playing every trick in the book. They spun him as this misunderstood genius, a poor scapegoat for everyone else's screw-ups. But no amount of slick lawyering could bury that mountain of evidence or silence the raw pain of his victims. By the time the trial kicked off in San Francisco, the courtroom was bursting every single day with people desperate for justice, or at least a shred of it. Among them was Angela Martinez, a widowed mom of 3 who'd lost her home after betting it all on Grayson's lies. Her youngest daughter, can you imagine, had to drop out of college because of him. Right next to her sat Peter Vaughn, a retired firefighter who'd spent decades saving lives, only to end up crashing in his brother's spare room because his retirement fund was ashes now, thanks to Ethan. Their stories, they hit hard. During the trial, Angela's voice cracked as she relived the day she couldn't pay the mortgage. "I begged them not to take the house," she said, tears streaming down her face, her voice trembling with every word. "But they didn't care. My kids had to sleep in our car for 2 weeks. Do you know what that feels like? My heart just breaks for her." Peter's testimony was no less shattering. "I spent 35 years running into burning buildings," he said, his voice thick with rage. "And this man, he burned my future to the ground, without a second thought. How does someone even recover from that? But Ethan? He didn't care one bit. He just lounged there, leaning back in his chair, scrolling on his phone like it was a lazy Sunday, can you picture it? Or cracking jokes with his attorney while people bared their souls. To him, these were just sob stories, background noise that wouldn't touch the cushy outcome he was so sure of. The press? They ate it up. Headlines blared about his arrogance, his total lack of remorse, the way he thumbed his nose at the court like it was all a big joke. Public opinion turned on him fast, good riddance. But Ethan couldn't have cared less. Public opinion doesn't write checks. He probably sneered to himself, counting his millions. His lawyer tried to smooth things over. "Oh, sure, mister. Grayson deeply regrets any hardship caused," the attorney claimed at a press conference, all polished and rehearsed. "But he remains confident that the truth will prevail." The truth? Ha! The truth was, Ethan had zero plans to own up to anything. He was banking on the system bending for him, like it always had until now. Because this time, he didn't count on one thing, Judge Monica Lee. She wasn't some pushover he could charm or buy off, no way. The trial? A total circus. News vans clogged the streets outside the courthouse, reporters shoving each other to catch every second of the drama. Inside, the tension cranked up day after day, how could it not? As witness after witness took the stand, hammering nails into Ethan Grayson's smug little coffin. But it wasn't just their words that had people gasping, it was Ethan himself. On day 3, the prosecution dropped a bombshell, emails where Ethan flat out told his team to fake records and trick investors. The prosecutor read it aloud, slow and deliberate. "Make the numbers look good. We need these suckers to sign on the dotted line." Suckers. He called them suckers. Those words poisoned the air. Angela Martinez, up in the front row, shook her head. Can you blame her? While Peter Vaughn's fists clenched so tight his knuckles went white. And Ethan? He smirked. The prosecutor whirled on him, voice like a whip. "Mr. Grayson, do you recognize this email?" His lawyer leapt in objection. This was covered in pre-trial, but Judge Lee shut it down, cool as ice. Overruled. Answer the question. Ethan leaned into the mic, dripping with sarcasm. Yes, I recognize it, but let's not pretend it means what you're implying. It's just business talk. You wouldn't understand. Whispers exploded through the crowd. Did he really just say that? And Judge Lee's gavel crashed down like thunder. Order in the court. She snapped, her voice slicing through the chaos. She fixed Ethan with a stare. Mr. Grayson, I advise you to watch your tone. This isn't a boardroom meeting. Did he care? Nope. He looked amused, like this was all some twisted game he'd already won. As the trial rolled on, his arrogance just ballooned. He'd cut off witnesses with snarky laughs. How rude is that? Roll his eyes during cross-examinations, and yap loudly to his lawyer right in the middle of huge moments. The audience? Stunned. He treated that courtroom like his own personal stage. Unbelievable. Then came Angela Martinez's big moment. She stepped up, clutching a crumpled paper in her shaking hands. Her voice wobbled, but oh, her pain hit like a freight train. I trusted him, she said, staring right at Ethan. I trusted him with everything I had, and he destroyed my family's future. And Ethan didn't even glance her way. He just kicked back, scrolling his phone like she wasn't even there. Your Honor, the prosecutor cut in, pointing at him. The defendant isn't even listening. All eyes locked on Judge Lee. Her face stayed blank, but those eyes? They burned, Mr. Grayson, she said, low and deadly. Put your phone away now. He looked up, all casual. I was just checking something important, he said, waving the phone like it was no big deal. Her voice turned to ice. I said now. For a second, it looked like he'd push back, can you imagine? But he finally dropped it. The tension? Through the roof. Angela kept going, her voice quaking with disbelief at his coldness. By the end, everyone was crying except Ethan, of course. A week later, the prosecution rested, and the defense flailed, discrediting witnesses, spinning wild tales, even calling Ethan a victim. But the holes were too gaping to hide. Judge Lee stayed cool, her presence this steady rock in the storm, though you could tell she was done with Ethan's nonsense. Then the final day hit. The courtroom crackled with electricity, reporters scribbling, cameras rolling, victims holding their breath, faces twisted with anger and hope. And there was Ethan, lounging like he owned the place, flashing a grin at the cameras, facing judgment, more like expecting a medal. Oh, the moment had arrived. All eyes were glued to Judge Monica Lee as she stood poised to deliver the sentence. Can you feel the electricity in the air? Ethan Grayson just lounged at the defense table, his posture so relaxed you'd think he was at a spa, not a courtroom. And get this, he even had the gall to flash a sly little grin at the cameras, those lenses snapping up his every smug move. Did he look like a man staring down judgment? No way. He looked like some hotshot convinced he'd already won. The whole game, how delusional. Can you get? But then, bam, Judge Lee opened her mouth, and the room dropped into a hush so deep you could have heard a pin drop. Mr. Grayson, she began, her voice steady and deliberate, cutting through the silence like a blade. You have been found guilty on all counts of fraud, conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. The evidence against you? It's overwhelming. And the testimonies of your victims, oh, they paint such a vivid, heartbreaking picture of what you've done. You manipulated, exploited, and shattered the lives of countless people, all to stuff your own greedy pockets. Can you imagine the weight of those words? Ethan just leaned back in his chair, his face a blank mask. Seriously, what was he thinking? The judge didn't pause. Oh no! She pressed on, her voice steady as a rock. Throughout this trial, you've shown a blatant lack of remorse. Zero. Your behavior in this courtroom? Nothing short of disgraceful. You've insulted your victims, spit on this court's authority, and acted like these proceedings were some petty annoyance beneath your precious time. The crowd couldn't help it. They murmured in agreement. A low rumble of outrage. Angela Martinez, right there in the front row, clasped her hands so tight, her knuckles glowed white. Can you feel her pain, her fury? Then Judge Lee's tone shifted. Oh, it got colder, sharper, like a winter wind. Justice, Mr. Grayson, isn't about wealth, power, or privilege, no sir. It's about accountability. And today, you're finally going to face the music for what you've done. The room went so quiet, you could hear the faint rustle of paper, every breath held in suspense. Ethan's smirk, oh, that infuriating smirk, faltered for the first time as he straightened up in his chair. Was he finally getting it? Here's the deal, Judge Lee declared, her voice ringing out with finality. I sentence you to 25 years in federal prison, 25 years. Without the possibility of parole. Gasps exploded from the crowd. Did you hear that? Like a shockwave ripping through the room. Ethan's face froze, the color draining from his cheeks faster than you can blink. 25 years! He'd been expecting a slap on the wrist, maybe a cushy few months in some posh facility, huh? This was unthinkable for a guy like him, a titan of wealth and status. Can you believe the rug just got yanked out from under him like that? But wait, Judge Lee wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Furthermore, she said, her words landing like hammer blows, I'm ordering the immediate liquidation of your assets, every last dime, to repay the victims of your disgusting crimes. Every single dollar you stole will go back to the families you crushed. The courtroom erupted into stunned murmurs. Can you imagine the relief as the reality sank in? Angela Martinez pressed her hands to her mouth, tears streaming down her face like a river breaking free. Peter Vaughn leaned back in his seat, his eyes wide with disbelief. Could this really be happening? Ethan? He lost it! He shot up from his chair, his face flaming red with rage. You can't do this! He bellowed, his voice bouncing off the walls like a thunderclap. I'm Ethan Grayson. You can't treat me like some common criminal. Judge Lee's gavel slammed down, wham, her expression as unyielding as stone. Mr. Grayson, sit down, she snapped. But Ethan wasn't done, no way. This is a joke, he roared. I'll appeal this. I'll have your career ruined, Judge. Can you believe the nerve of this guy, even now? The bailiffs edged closer, ready to pounce. Things were getting wild. Judge Lee stayed calm, her voice slicing through his tantrum like a hot knife through butter. This is my courtroom, Mr. Grayson, and you will show respect. Bailiffs, escort the defendant out now. As they hauled him away, Ethan kept yelling, his protests growing fainter with every step. Oh, what a sight. The courtroom burst into applause, actual applause. A rare electric moment that felt so right, so deserved. Judge Lee turned to the audience, her stern face softening just a touch. Can you feel the shift? Justice has been served, she said, her words ringing with quiet power. Let this be a reminder that no one, no matter how rich or powerful, is above the law. But as the room cleared out and the cameras outside flashed like crazy, one big question hung heavy in the air. Would this monster sentence really change a man like Ethan Grayson? Could anything pierce that armor of arrogance? The courtroom was nearly empty now, just a few straggling reporters and victims picking up their things, but oh, that buzz of excitement still lingered, thick as fog. For the people Ethan had crushed, though, the feelings were so much messier. Relief. Yes, but pain too. Angela Martinez stood by the courthouse steps, clutching her purse like it was her lifeline. A reporter shoved a microphone in her face, rude, right, and asked, "How do you feel after today's verdict?" She paused, her voice catching. "I feel relieved, thank God. But the truth is, no sentence can wipe away the damage he did. My kids and I, we're still picking up the pieces, but at least now we've got a glimmer of hope, something to hold on to." Nearby, Peter Vaughn was chatting with a buddy, shaking his head like he couldn't believe it. It's not just about the years he's getting 25 years. No, it's bigger than that, he said. It's about the message, loud and clear. People like him think they're untouchable, ha. Today proves they're dead wrong. Inside her chambers, Judge Monica Lee sat alone, gazing out the window at the chaos below, reporters swarming, lights flashing. Did she feel triumph? Victory? Nope, just this steady, unshakable resolve. Her job wasn't about gloating, it was about fairness, about showing the world that justice could tip the scales, even against a mountain of wealth and privilege. How inspiring is that? Ethan Grayson's name? Oh, it'd keep popping up in the headlines for a while, big surprise there. But for the folks he'd wronged, this chapter was finally slamming shut, hallelujah. The cash from his liquidated assets would help so many start over. Imagine the relief. But those deep scars he left behind, those would take time to fade, no question. As weeks rolled by, the story lit a fire across the country, people talking, debating, demanding accountability. It turned into this rallying cry, hold the powerful to the same rules as everyone else. Folks started sharing their own tales of injustice. Can you feel the momentum drawing strength from this verdict? Like it was a beacon in the dark? But the real tearjerker? Oh, it came from Angela's youngest daughter, Sophia. She wrote this letter to Judge Lee, published in a local paper, no less, and it hit right in the heart. Thank you for standing up for my family. It read, her words brimming with gratitude. Thank you for showing us that creeps like Ethan Grayson can't just hurt people like us and walk away. You didn't just give us justice, you gave us a second chance. Can you even read that without tearing up? Ethan Grayson's trial? It wasn't just some courtroom soap opera, no way. It was this blazing reminder of how tough ordinary people can be, how vital integrity is, and how justice, real justice, can and should win, no matter the odds stacked against it. So, as you soak in this story, ask yourself, what does accountability mean to you? And in your own life, your everyday battles, how can you make sure fairness and justice aren't just pretty words, but real living actions? Because here's the kicker. Justice isn't just for the courts to dish out. It's on all of us to fight for it. Every single day. Are you ready to step up? Oh, what a story. This trial of Ethan Grayson hits me right in the gut. It's a blazing wake-up call about the kind of world we're living in, and honestly, it makes my blood boil. Lifestyle-wise, I'm so sick of seeing these ultra-rich jerks like Ethan strut around, dripping in privilege, acting like their wealth is some golden shield against consequences. It's disgusting. They sip champagne on yachts while regular folks like Angela and Peter scrape by, pouring their hearts into honest work, only to get crushed by greed. I believe in a life where hard work and decency actually mean something, not this twisted game where money buys you a free pass to ruin lives. Socially, this screams everything wrong with power imbalances. Don't you feel it too? The arrogance of thinking you're untouchable because your bank account's fat? It's infuriating. I'm all for fairness. For a society where no one's above the law, not some smug millionaire, not anyone. Judge Lee's my hero here. She didn't just slap Ethan down, she lit a fire under us all to demand accountability. I'm tired of seeing the little guy trampled while the elite laugh it off. We need more of that fierce justice. More voices like Sophia's shouting, enough. And the issue that burns me up most, entitlement. Ethan's tantrum, threatening the judge like some spoiled brat, shows how these people think they own the world. I say, bring it down. Strip away their cushy safety nets and make them face the mess they've made. This isn't just a courtroom win. It's a rallying cry for a lifestyle in society where integrity trumps cash. And justice isn't a privilege. It's a right. Are we ready to fight for that? I sure as hell am.